Hello, my name is Nawa-ish, and welcome back to Illustrator Plays Minecraft. I have an idea. I was not really sure what I was gonna do this episode, especially because the last thing that we made was a huge project. But then I suddenly got this image in my head, and I really want to try my best at recreating it in Minecraft. If we come over here, we have an empty field. Whoa! Gotta be careful. And I always imagined that eventually this would become a giant wheat field, which you can kind of see in some of the older drawings that I've made. So let's climb up this tree, and let me show you what I'm picturing. I'm imagining a little house tucked in between some rocky cliffs, with a large wheat field beside it. And in the middle of the field is a floating ball of earth with an oversized tree. Maybe it was just a small sapling when it first got brought up into the air, but now over the years, it's grown and its roots are starting to find its way out of the dirt ball. I had a little bit of trouble with a house. I wasn't sure how to place the windows or if I wanted the front door here, so you'll see me trying out a bunch of different designs. I decided on some sort of stone building with yellowish stones so it stands out against the grey of the cliff walls, and a clay tile roof, and it's all been weathered over the years. I ended up with this house. It's very simple, with one door and a small window. Just a tiny little house for a farmer to live. So, let's get started. I've set up Freecam so I can flip back and forth between here and the tree. So I guess the house will be somewhere around here. Something like this. From the angle of the picture, you can't really see this area, but I might keep this little lake here and just bring up the water line by a block or two. And we can utilize this hole in the ground for where the tree's gonna go. Go into the middle. What does this look like? Yeah, looks alright. So the mound of dirt will be like this, with a tree. The house is here, and we can start shaving down the cliffside here. I'll get it down to the stone layer, and I can work on it from there. I think I also want to shave down a bit of the stone here. It's just this little sticky outy bit right here. Okay, it is looking pretty good. I want to start flattening out the ground now, but there are a lot of horses around here. So let's start rounding them up. Come on, guy. Oh. That's not what I meant to do. Oh no! Let's try to head up without any— oh no! I don't know what to do. Oh! Oh! Okay, let's get out of here. I'll make a stable for you guys, eventually. Alright, back on our tree. I finally got a zoom mod, so now we can zoom in, and we can adjust it so that the camera angle is closer to what the drawing looks like. Now that the horses are gone, we can start smoothing out and flattening the ground. Okay, making some progress. Now we have to deal with this giant hole in the ground. We're gonna keep this part open for the tree, but all of this, I think we're gonna have to cover it up. Which is a bit of a shame because it does look kinda cool, but maybe in the future we can dig it up and do something with it. So the shape of the hole in the ground over here, I'm thinking I'll connect it to that section of dirt over there. Quick check. Looking okay. And now let's detach my face so we can have a view from above and see how much we want to cover up. So the tree is here, the house over here, the path goes like this, and I think the ground will go around to here. I do want to eventually terraform the rivers around here. Maybe the river can bend like this. And there could be some sort of bridge. Now let's start placing some dirt. I just realized that it would be smart to put some sort of platform underneath this all. So I'm just gonna go in with some stone. Hello, creeper. Wait, oh. Oh no. What was I even doing? My fingers weren't on the keys properly. Okay. Alright. The grass has been put down and everything is nice and smooth. And now we can start working on the cliffs. If we refer back to the drawing, we don't really have to do too much. It's already kind of in the shape of what I want it to be. I just need to go in and replace the dirt with stone, and also bring them up higher. It's just gonna be stone for now. I'm just gonna go in and put in the basic shapes, and then we can worry about texturing later. Let's take a look. Okay, so this part is clearly not done, but that's okay because if you zoom in, you don't see it at all. And I think it's looking pretty close to the drawing. Now it's time to put in the shapes for the house and the ball of dirt. We're gonna go in with wool, just so that's easier to see from the tree. And I think I'm gonna try this at a diagonal. This is my first time building on an angle, but it's a pretty simple building, so it shouldn't be too hard. Okay, I think this is correct. It looks alright. And let me put on the outline of the roof too, just so I don't get confused when I'm making the house. This seems okay. Maybe it's a bit too wide sideways? I'll leave it for now and then we can take another look at it once we're actually building. So now on to the ball of dirt. I put down a stone platform down there so it'll catch any of the blocks that fall. And myself. I'm probably gonna fall down there. And we are gonna put a piece of dirt for the bottom, somewhere around here. Yep. And we can make the ball of dirt. I'll bring you back once it's done. It's a floating ball of dirt with a pathway. And now we can finally start on the actual builds. I want to do a more detailed drawing of this house first. We start off with drawing the sides of the house, so we have a plan for what it's all gonna look like. And I can add details like this little firewood storage on the back of the house. Like I mentioned before, this is gonna be a yellowish stone house with an orangey clay tile roof. I focus most on putting down blocks of colors instead of trying to accurately draw out the stones or the roof tiles. That way it would be easier for me to translate it into Minecraft blocks later. Especially for Build a Small, because you can't really add in all the little details. First off, I'm gonna fiddle around with how wide this house is. I think it's really just 1 or 2 blocks too wide. This is where I ended up. I think it's looking a bit closer to the drawing now. For the palette, I'm thinking something like this, with sandstone being the main block, and then I can sprinkle in some lighter or darker blocks. There's also dead coral, but this might be better on the roof. Oh, and there's also quartz if I really want to go bright. As for the roof, something like this. Though I admit this is a lot of different blocks, especially for something so small, so I probably won't end up using all of them. Alright, let's get to building. I am pretty happy with how this turned out, especially from over here. All the different blocks just sort of blend together. It does get a bit chaotic once you get closer with all the different blocks, but I don't think it's too bad. For the sides of the house, I ended up making it flat. I got rid of the staggered block for the diagonal look. It was just looking a bit weird because it was cutting the chimney in half. And back here, we have the little fire log storage, and here's a little stump where someone can cut firewood. Let's look at the inside now. It's a pretty small space, so I couldn't do too much. But there's a fireplace, a bed, some storage, little tiny chest, and a table. I have it so that I can put a farmer villager here so we can finally start trading for golden carrots. And if we break this, under this wool there is actually honey. So the villager will be in here, and they shouldn't be able to jump out or anything. At least they have a nice view out the window. So that is the house done. And if we make our way over here, I actually worked on this pond a little bit. Nothing special, just some rocks and some vegetation. I just wanted it to look a bit more polished, just so that it wasn't just a hole in the ground. Now it is ball of dirt time. I just went in with all the brown blocks, like soul soil, coarse and rooted dirt, some mud, and some mangrove roots. And we should fix up the shape of this hole a bit, just to make sure that it's not too big. Though with all the erosion over the years, it probably doesn't have to be too perfect. And gradually slope it down. I was originally gonna make this all dirt, but after thinking about it, this hole has been here for quite a long period of time, so I think there would be a bit of vegetation down here, some shade-loving plants, and probably stuff like moss and lichen. Alright, so I did what I usually do when I'm making trees, and I drew a little sketch of what the trunk and the branches might look like underneath all the leaves. So let's take this drawing, and with the help of our happy ghast, let's get to tree building. I was just gonna do a quick montage of this, but this tree ended up taking a lot longer than I thought. And there was some trial and error involved, so instead I thought we can just talk through the process. I started off with the trunk and the branches, as usual, trying my best to follow the drawing that we just did. And after that, I started placing the leaves. This is when I realized that the tree was going to be way too small compared to the original illustration. The top of the leaf canopy should be more like up here, which would make this tree pretty huge. Ideally, the tree and the dirt ball should have probably been built closer to the camera. But this is what we have now, so we are just gonna go with it. I was placing leaves in what I thought was a pretty logical way. I was following the branches, but the leaves ended up looking pretty messy. Real life trees usually have clumps of leaves, and that's how I drew it in the illustration. But somewhere along the way, I got too focused on just putting down leaves and not the overall shape. So I went back in with shears and started to take away some leaves, and I fixed up the shape, making sure that there's some air gaps in between the leaf clumps. Another thing I want to remember for next time is the placement of fences for the branches. After I had to make the canopy bigger, the whole plan with the branches kinda went out the window, and I started to put in the fences kinda randomly. It does look okay in the end, but that's something I want to work on. And even though making this tree took a very long time, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. Okay, I need to stop, or else I'll be doing this forever. I think there could have been a bit more leaf clumpage going on, but it turned out pretty decent. I tried my best to make it look good from all angles, but it does unfortunately look a bit blobby when you're down here on ground level. I did do my best to leave a lot of space on the inside of the tree near the trunk, so that the leaves look a bit more airy. I will say though, every time I think I'm done, I always see some part that I want to change. Like right here. Okay, I need to stop. Let's do the final touches of the tree by adding in the roots. I'm thinking fences. And I'm using iron bars for now, but I want to replace these with the copper bars when they come out in the next update. Some pale hanging moss. There's also actual hanging roots, but it's a bit too saturated. It really sticks out. So nope to those. What about dead coral? Wait. Can you not put them on the bottom of blocks? Huh. Or the sides? Huh. Let's throw in some jungle fences for the darker parts. And birch near the tips. The tree is finished. And now, the wheat field. I made myself a pretty good hoe with some good enchantments on them. But first, I have a bit of a secret to tell you. So last episode, in this really messy place where I make and collect moss, I know it's not efficient at all, I found this trial chamber. Oh, I activated it. Whoops. And I actually went in and already did it. I was originally going to show that at the beginning of the episode, but then I got really excited about the wheat field. So instead, I figured I can show you some clips of it now while I plant some seeds. It was a lot of me just sort of flailing around and getting lost, so we'll keep it short. I enchanted my armor to have Prot 4, but I was still pretty nervous. But I took the ominous potion and went for it. And let me tell you, this trial chamber was 90% skeletons and cave spiders, with a tiny sprinkling of breeze and zombies. So I was either poisoned or a pincushion for most of it. Then I went through and opened some vaults. I got the creator disc, some other stuff, and then I got the heavy core. I seriously cannot believe how lucky I was to get this thing. Though I do still want to get the trims, so I'll have to go back at some point. Oh, it's raining. Let's take a look at the field. Parts of it are still growing, but it is nice and filled in. I wasn't too sure if I liked seeing the edge of the dirt where it goes up by one block. And I did try stairs here instead of slabs to cover up the dirt. But I don't know. To me, the stairs visually stick out more and look a bit more unnatural. So I just decided to keep it as slabs. Okay, that's enough about the field. Let's play around with the heavy core. Oh, I love how slowly it comes into view. What can I use this on? Maybe an armor stand? Oh, that is some good timing. Let me armor up just in case. And if we sneak up here... Wait, there are guys up here. Get down, please. Ow. Okay, I'm just gonna go for it. Whoop. I'm sorry. Ow. This isn't going well. Whoop. Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Ow. Oh, it's left click. Whoop. Okay, this isn't working. Sorry. Thank you for your patience. Let me try practicing first. Armor stand. And... whoop. Nope. Yes! I got it! Whee! Okay, that's pretty fun. Well, I guess it's back to work. So now we are gonna put the final touches of this area. So we need to add the texturing of the cliffs here. There needs to be some trees around the top. And maybe I'll clean up this unfinished part right here too. Let's get to it. It's done! All I have to do now is get this villager to their new home. Safe landing. And we can wrangle the villager. This is gonna be fun. Block off all means of escape. Alright. Oh. He's just going in by himself. Block this off. No, that's a bed. Get in there. Yes, you are a farmer now. Well, that was easy. I should do that door thing so that zombies don't try to break it down. Right, I guess the pressure plate doesn't work now. I started trading with this guy. I went for the wheat trade because that seems the most fitting. I just fiddled around with his table and now it looks a lot more open. Almost like he can get out of there. But he can't. Alright, let's take a step outside and look at everything. I am pretty happy with this. So we have the extra trees, the texturing on the cliffs. It is still just a facade, but it works for now. I did also add glass panes to the tips of the roots, though it barely makes a difference. And in the wheat field, I added some dry grass and some firefly bushes, just to have some variation. The water is under these trapdoors and slabs to keep the soil from drying out, because it'll eventually turn back to regular dirt underneath the tall grass in the bush, and then mobs can start spawning on them, which would not be good. Let's get up here one last time, and if we bring up the drawing and compare, I think we got decently close. I'm gonna be honest, this was supposed to be a quick project, but then the tree ended up being a huge task. But I think it was worth it. And the best part is, if you wait until the sun sets, the fireflies come out, and the view is quite pretty. So thanks for watching. I hope to see you soon. Bye!